Eric, welcome back to Spotlight Fridays. It's
Thank
been a
you.
while.
It's my pleasure.
We've had you a few weeks ago, and we had a previous session, and there was a request from a number of people to have you back. And now you're back for a live Q&A. We've had a few questions submitted by quite a few people as well. There are a lot of them. So I'll try to power through them as fast as we can. So we'll see how we go for time. For everyone who are joining us live, happy Friday and welcome back. Please let us know that you're here. Say hi, drop an emoji, and also feel free to ask Eric questions. Drop them in the comments and ask them in real time. I'll also include them in this discussion. So let's power through this. Eric, you and I hosted a couple of CEO dinners across Sydney and Melbourne recently as last week. And we've seen the same theme coming up, so that retail has never been more complex. What are your views as to why and
Yeah,
what's
look,
driving that complexity?
I think to start, let's put any macroeconomic things aside because there's a lot of retailers who are saying that they're doing quite well. There's a lot who are struggling a little bit, obviously more than others. So I'm going to put the macroeconomic things aside. Look, there's no doubt that we've got more competition in this market than we've ever had before. Um, with business being tough, there's shrinking margins. People are discounting more and more. Um, you know, in the favor of the consumer because um, you know, the consumer is winning in this scenario. But people are so focused as well on trying to sell things and gain their best first margin as opposed to the right price and the right margin and therefore having to discount it. We all know that you bank your um, your GP and not your margin. So I think that's a really important part. But the other thing that we're seeing, and this has got nothing to do with any of the CEOs who were at the dinners recently, but generally across the market, there's a lot of mediocrity and lack of innovation taking place in retail. It's been the same for many, many years. People have relied on what historically has worked for them, and sometimes what's historically worked doesn't always work moving into the future. The other theme that we keep seeing as well is everyone saying why it can't be done. And I think to flip that around and say, how can we do it? And how is it possible? And, I think that's a key theme as well that people are it's top of mind. So,
It's a very good shift in the mindset, isn't it? So it depends on the question. So you can, and the way you ask it, because you can have a negative answer, or you can just roll up your sleeve and say, "Well, let's just do something about it."
yeah.
So
I
yes,
think if
and,
you have
and
the attitude in life that everything's possible, then how do we go and make it happen? And how do
yes,
and we got to make it happen quickly as well because speed is critical in a challenged environment.
yeah. But also, if we don't, what's the alternative?
There is no alternative, obviously. It stays the same. Yeah.
Well said. Now, the next question is about digital transformation. So, every company, as we know, talks about digital transformation, but most end up with shiny tools and no real impact. In your experience, what separates a genuine transformation that drives value from a costly distraction?
Well, I think what's really happened in the COVID era and subsequent to COVID is people jumped on and realized they had to get new technology and they had to keep up and they had to do things, but not everyone got the right technology. And I think the most important part there is to get technology which is appropriate for your business size, okay, and technology which drives growth, which helps the customer, and it will inevitably help the bottom line. And I think that's a really important point as well.
But it's quite a complex conversation because you're right. It has to fit the purpose, and it could be a very expensive exercise. And not just that, it could be from time point of view, it can be a very lengthy project as well that involves a lot of people, a lot of teams. So when we make these decisions, then definitely need to align with business objectives and the purpose. Why do we do it? Because if it takes us 12 months to integrate it for something that we're not sure if we're going to use it, then should we do
But
it?
what we're seeing also in quite a lot of businesses is technology which was implemented at the time, which probably hasn't been fully optimized. So people have got the technology, but they're not using it in the correct form, and it hasn't necessarily been integrated correctly into all the systems that organizations have. So we do see that time to time as well.
Yes, agree. The integration piece and optimization come up way more often than not.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So when you're leading through volatility, whether it's consumer sentiment or supply chain disruption or tech change, what anchors your decision making? So do you have a set of guiding principles that you rely on to make decisions?
I think the foremost question one should ask yourself in this scenario is what benefits the customer? Yeah, because so often people are looking at what benefits their organization. And we've spoken before, and I think we covered this last time I was on Spotlight Friday. It was in a tough business situation, and people go and just look at cost cutting. And cost cutting might help you in the short term, it's a short term drug, okay? But it doesn't necessarily help the customer journey. It doesn't help the customer in any shape or form. So that's got to stay absolutely front of mind. Um, Also, clearly, it's about product. And you're going to hear me talk about that quite often as we go through. Because you can have everything going perfectly in your mind, but if you've got the wrong product, people aren't going to buy it. The product's too expensive, people are not going to buy it, they're going to wait for the discount. So I think some of those things are actually really important. But if what you're doing is not working, okay, stop and ask yourself question one. Okay? And ask yourself a question because quite often things have changed. Things have changed dramatically over the last, let's call it 5 years, 10 years, and even more recently, over the last 2 to 3 years, there's new innovations happening, there's new competitors in the market. What is it that you're doing that isn't working? What did you used to do that was working? And why is there a difference? And sometimes you've got to open up, and it's hard because they're confronting questions to ask yourself, but critical questions. And I think that's the important part. We're in a very crowded market, okay? And without a doubt, I said it earlier, start with the customer and focus on the USP. Because in a crowded market, you have to have a different offer. And you have to have a unique proposition.
Asking tough questions is a very good advice because by human nature, of course, we want to avoid it. But I agree with you. I think it's to anchor the your answer is when we focus on two pillars, being having the right product and serving it to the customer who wants to purchase it. This is the conversation. This is a very good conversation to have.
No, totally agree with that.
So you and I worked together for many, many years, and you often talk about alignment amongst the teams. So how do you get the executive teams heading in the same direction when everyone is under pressure?
Well, the most simple way to do it, and you'll be surprised how few organizations actually do it, and is you start off by aligning KPIs. And if you've got aligned KPIs, you've got everyone pulling in the same direction. Over communicate, okay? However much you think you communicate to your teams, to your senior leadership teams, whatever it may be, communicate even more than that. And then, more important than anything else, is listen. Your teams generally have some of the answers. Okay? No room for ego. I've spoken about that before. Put all that aside and listen to what the team are telling you. Listen to what your frontline team are telling you, because this isn't always in a retail organization. This isn't always about your, I always call it a support office team, not a head office team. Okay, and the reason I say that is because a head office team sounds like they're more important, and they're not. Okay, because the only reason you've got a so-called head office is because you've got customers and stores out there. Listen to people in the front line. Listen to your customer service teams. Talk to your stores. Visit your stores and listen. And if you listen and react, okay, and again, critical to react so they can see there's action. Because otherwise, the next time you go to stores, if there's no action, they don't tell you anything. It's a bit like a customer satisfaction survey. Don't bother doing a customer satisfaction survey. Oh, sorry, a staff satisfaction survey, unless you're going to listen, unless you're going to make some change. Otherwise, you'll do it next time, and people just tell you what you want to hear, and that's no good to anyone. So I think that's the key part, which I think is important.
That's so good. I'm so glad that you mentioned the front line as well, because if we, the executive team, don't serve the customers, which they don't, then they have to talk to someone who actually does on a day to day basis, and they will know all the answers to all the questions. So I think it's, yes, it definitely is a good way to look at it. Communicate with your front line, over communicate to your team. Transparency in communication is key. Agree, it needs to be over communicated, and action on that feedback.
Yeah.
Don't just bury it in your inbox. That's really good. Thank you. What have you learned about leading through uncertainty that you wish you'd known 10 years ago? And it has been a lot of uncertainty in the number of years that
Um,
you led. You were in the leadership role.
I think to me, it's always around speed. Okay, that hasn't changed whether it's now or the last 10 years, but it's become more prevalent over the last 10 years. And the importance around speed, the importance around decision making, actually making decisions, because so often people are not making decisions in any situation, and they're just trying to avoid that. But probably, and again, I think I probably touched on this last time we were on, is around people, decisions around people. Okay, make them early. It generally doesn't get better. Okay, just costs you more time and more money, and a slower turnaround. So I think that's the key points.
I think you and I see this very often, even now, the whole decision fatigue scenario,
Yes.
that people just freeze because, especially now with the whole rise of AI and how dynamic this is and how fast evolving that is, and people freeze. They just can't make decisions like which way to go and where we're heading, what should we implement, what should we do first. I think the priorities are so important to align across the teams because ultimately someone needs to rally the troops
Yeah, I've
to
always had
what's.
the view as well that this you don't have to wait for 100% to make your decision. Making a decision at 80% is better than not making a decision at all. And you can always backtrack and amend how you've done it. But critical in organizations looking for leaders to make decisions and make them at 80%. I've seen too often people wait till it's 100%. And by that stage, you've lost so much time. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily work.
My favorite question, always has been who else is doing it?
Yes.
As if we need this validation.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about everyone else. You do
Sometimes
it.
you
You
can
have
go
different
first. You
customers.
can be the first one. Okay. And maybe let's look at afterpay. If everyone waited for everyone else to do it, they wouldn't have got anywhere. Someone had to start somewhere.
Yes, and it was us. I love that example. That's great. So, progress over perfection. That's a very good advice. I like your 80% rule. Yes, rather do 80% than 100% of nothing.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, and again, I touched on this last time, is even more so in a difficult environment, don't panic. Stay calm and make decisions. Okay.
Yes, Eric, staying calm, I think it's your specialty.
It
I
is,
can't
I
say
think
that I
it is a
can stay
specialty
calm.
of mine, but I think it's absolutely critical in a tough environment and when people are looking for leadership. You know,
Yeah, well, I wish,
no one
yes,
likes a frenetic leader. No one likes
that's
people who
true.
make decisions.
That's true. But not everyone is blessed with your patience, I would say.
Sometimes
All right.
it's to my detriment.
Well, it's true. We're switching gears because you and I know what it means, and it's patience versus impatience being me. If you had to pick one metric that really shows whether a business is getting it right, what would it be, in your opinion?
I think looking at conversion, looking at customer lifetime value, okay, and understanding how your customers are reacting to the decisions you make. Because you can make tons of decisions daily, weekly, monthly, whatever they are, but unless they impact your customer who is going to buy more of your product, it's irrelevant, totally irrelevant.
Lifetime value,
Yeah.
yes. You'd be surprised how many brands do not track that still. Conversion, yes, because it shows up everywhere, but not the lifetime value.
Yeah.
It is important to know if you just throwing money on acquisition and not retention, and what is the ratio there. Agree. I want to talk a little bit broadly about retail. It's not me, this is the questions that were submitted earlier. What gives you optimism about retail right now? Because it's not everything is doom and gloom. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we can do, and we can do it very well, and we can do it at speed.
Well, having been around retail for a long time, having seen a number of cycles, downturns, you know, I can think of 3 or 4 major downturns in my career, economic downturns, difficult scenarios, etc. But I think that what keeps the optimism going is for every downturn, there's always been an upturn ever since the beginning of time. So the upturn will come. Be ready for the upturn. Use the downturn to get your business right. This is a great time for investment. Okay. If people invested before COVID, they would have had a much easier transition during COVID. Okay. So number one is that. Number two is that it's about focus. Okay. And focus in everything that you're doing. So I think it's absolutely critical.
Well, it's
Stay
a
calm,
perfect,
remain
yes.
focused. But what are the other reasons? I think we've seen an explosion of great technology. And we covered this in some of our dinners, the CEO dinners that we had. We've covered it in a scenario where, um, you know, whilst it's tough, the easiest thing to do is not invest. Okay? The easiest thing to do is pull your head in and not do anything about it. But there's great technology out there. We've been hearing about AI for a long time, but we're really only hearing about and seeing the effect of AI more recently. Great technology, great AI-driven technology, other great technology which assists consumers and will certainly help the bottom line. So I think that's what gets me excited about retail. Okay. I'm excited about seeing new innovations and transformation and what people are doing. And a company like Mecca has certainly gone out and tried to transform the way they're looking at retail. And I think it's an exciting time, but it's about doing the right things now
And do them at speed.
at speed and
So
stay calm.
speaking about technology, is anything in particular that jumps out at you, that you're excited about it?
Well, again, I think we keep coming back to the same theme. I think anything that assists the customer, makes the customer's life easier. You make the customer's life easier across all touch points, they'll buy more product from you. Average transaction values will go up, units per transaction will go up. Make their life easier. Do it for them. They can see when you're doing it for you, and they don't like it when you do it for you. They like it when you do it for them.
Well said, and I think it's the whole idea about predicting what customer wants as well.
Yeah,
This is what the Steve Jobs did, what Jeff Bezos did. It's not like they went out and asked customers if they want Prime membership.
yeah,
He created an incubator center that brainstormed for a long time and throw some ideas around, and they came up with the whole concept. And now they have what 7 million people on direct debit just to pay for Prime membership. So no one was waiting for customers necessarily to come and tell them we would like to pay this annual amount for whatever it is you're going to throw into that subscription model. So I think if you follow the customer and you watch their behavior and analyze that, you will eventually come up with the ways how you can serve them better.
But a lot of organisations might believe they're customer focused and only look at a segment of it. Important that it's across every touch point. Also, again, we've been talking about this for a while, that not many retailers are omnichannel retailers. Okay, when I talk omnichannel, I'm talking about true omnichannel retailers. Single
What
view of
does it mean? What does it mean to you?
okay, single view of customer, single view of stock. Okay, seamless interaction. Not going into a retail store and saying, sorry, you've got to send that back through online, or you didn't buy it here, you bought it through online. Just making it a completely seamless interaction. Um, I was actually at a dinner last night. I was talking to somebody else next to him. We're talking about the attribution of retail sales. So it's really hard, and not many retailers attribute online sales fulfillment at a store level, okay, to the stores. So what tends to happen if you don't do that? Number one, they don't help the customer, because what's going to happen? They'll keep product to sell so they can get credited for the sale. That's not helping your customer at all. But they are responsible for credits. If people are bringing things back into their store, it's coming off their sales. So they should be given the credit in the first place. And I think that's a really important part and a motivational thing for retail team members. And that's also part of a true omni-channel scenario. Otherwise, they're only focusing on their channel, not on anyone else's channel, not focusing on the customer. So I think
Yeah,
that's a really important point as well.
it's a very good point. I think we need to move away from the whole multi-channel, whatever channel. We just need to accept the fact that there is one channel because the customer doesn't speak channels.
No,
That's not the lingo. That's not what they use. We speak channels, and we create that separation. So there is this team is responsible for social, this team just for retail sales, the other team just for digital. We just need to unite the whole thing, centralize it, and just like one customer, one channel. This is our story. This is what we stand for. This is why we are in business. This is our purpose.
it also reminds me back in the executive days when I was talking to analysts or journalists or whoever it was I was talking to, and they'd always say, what percentage of your business is online? And I'd always say, well, that's not a really great question because I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you how much of our products fulfill from the warehouse. I can tell you how much of our online sales are fulfilled from store, but I can't tell you how much online or our website has driven sales from stores because people research. We all know, we all do it. You want to buy something new, get online and you research, and you might go into store and just buy it in store. And that's again a seamless interaction. So,
Yes, discover online, purchase in store, and vice versa.
correct.
Where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth in the next 12 to 18 months? So you already touched on the omnichannel environment, the KPIs and technology. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
No, I think it's again, it comes back to product. Focus on your product. Focus on decisions with customers. Implement technology if you haven't got the technology to drive improvement for the customer. And focus on some of the basics. Look at your people. Make sure you've got the right teams because everything can fall apart without that. So, and speed of decision making. If you wait for someone else to do it, you'll be left behind.
Sometimes I think, Eric, it's going back to basics.
It is back to basics. But retail is actually quite simple if you really
It
think
is.
about it. And I always like using the example of the simplicity of retail. Um, or in every actual strip that we have in Australia, there's a greengrocer selling fruit and vegetables. And what do? On a hot day, they put the oranges in the front, okay, the watermelons in the front, and make sure that when that it's going to be coming summer period, make sure you've got the right solutions there for everyone, merchandise your store accordingly, and adapt. Okay, And if you're a retailer and it's pouring with rain, you sell rain gear, put that in the front of the store. Some real simple, basic things, and I'm oversimplifying it. There's no doubt, but we've got to use the old retail philosophy because
This
people
is
take
brilliant.
whatever.
Yes.
And more importantly, stop. Be focused. Be focused on your retail. Be focused on your customer. Don't be focused on your silos, your organization. You know, I call them business prevention departments at a head office stroke support office. Okay. We don't want business prevention departments. Okay. Cut through, make it happen. If the CIO says it can't happen, say, how can I make it happen? If the head of HR says we can't do that, you say, how can I do it? Okay. Because we can't let the tail wag the dog. We're merchants at the end of the day. And that's the most important.
Yes, I can tell you've been doing this for a very long time and you're definitely very passionate about retail. I like your examples with supermarkets and retailers that put raincoats and they umbrellas at the front on the rainy day. I'll never forget that walking in London on, at the time of the Top Shop was around on the streets and it was pouring with rain. And all they did, they were just standing at the front. Staff was standing outside, handing out the umbrellas to people. That was classic. I don't know why I remember that. It was probably 10, 15 years ago, but it's our human nature, when you curate that experience to what we're feeling right now, what we are going through right now. I think it just creates those unforgettable moments to a degree. And in the loyalty space, we talk about those joyalty moments, but
Mm.
the basics are good. If it's a hot day, like just give us something that will cool us down, and vice versa.
Well, the interesting thing, as I'm thinking through and answering the questions which have been submitted, I keep talking about the same themes. And what I actually think as well as we talk about those themes, that's the very reason why we created Albany Advisory, because it's focusing on customers, focusing on digital transformation, customer journeys, customer strategies, and that's really the most important thing. So that's obviously how Albany was derived.
Yes, but we both are very passionate. We have a lot of experience, obviously, and we love doing the right things all the time, and we love adding value, and we want to improve the state of this industry overall. Because I think when we elevate it and we all do the right thing, ultimately the customer is the one who's going to benefit.
That's absolutely
So
correct.
it's all about lifting that game. So I think I have time for one more question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to retail leaders listening today, what would it be? I think you can just summarize everything what you said in the last half an hour.
Focus on your customer. That's it's as simple as that. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's easy, but it's not simple. It should be, but it's not. You
You need
know
to
that.
ensure that every touch point in your organization, and we know in big organizations, what gets in the way? Egos, silos, okay, non-aligned teams, different KPIs. Okay? And there's all of the things which we've kind of covered across some of the questions being submitted.
So you're telling us that we should all drop our egos
Absolutely. Yeah.
for the greatest good.
Yes.
Well, it's been a lovely discussion. We do have these discussions every day, but I still, I can still have lots of questions for you. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your view on what is happening right now. It's been great, and thanks for everyone who joined us. I will go through your comments. I could see quite a few of them coming through. I promise I will go through it after this live streaming. Eric, always a pleasure. It's been
Absolute
lovely
pleasure.
working with you as
Yeah.
well. But thanks for
Please
the
feel
chat.
free to ask any other questions. You know, it's not on the Spotlight Friday now. In future, send me an email, send me a text, call me. Let's have a chat.
Be careful what you wish for.
Always happy to talk about it.
I know you are. Thank you so much, Eric, and thanks everyone who joined us. Have a very happy Friday and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Anna. Thank you, everyone.